Hey everyone, it's your boy Ajax the Mister here, coming at you with a new, fresh idea that I haven't normally done on this channel, a top 5 One Piece arcs video. And mind you, this will be my 2016 edition of this top 5 One Piece arcs video, mainly for two reasons. One being an obvious one in that One Piece is still going, and we still have plenty of ways to go, future arcs to go through, and any of those arcs can hop right into my personal top 5 list. And second reason being that it's just that, it's an opinion, and opinions have the likelihood to change as time moves on. So, as an example, not saying this is it, but if I'm thinking that Thriller Bark is the worst arc in all of One Piece, maybe in 2018 I think it's one of the best arcs in One Piece. That's most likely not gonna happen, but just as an example, just so you guys can understand why this is my 2016 edition and not just a general top 5 One Piece arcs in all of the history of One Piece. And I cannot stress this enough, this is not a definitive list. I am not saying these are the best One Piece arcs in all of One Piece, but these are my personal top picks. This is what I loved when I was reading One Piece, watching One Piece. Like, these were the arcs I was like, wow, this series is amazing. But without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have the Arlong Park arc. Now, before we get into the actual arc, I need to stress this out that whenever I tell my friends to go watch One Piece, or whenever I have friends that actually do start watching One Piece, and these friends don't get into it, I always tell them, watch up till Arlong Park, because Arlong Park is going to be the deciding factor of whether or not you're going to love this show or just want to drop it right afterwards. Because up until Arlong Park, you know, One Piece had its few semi-serious moments, but it didn't really take itself too seriously. What with the whole Usopp arc, and the Captain Morgan arc, and the Captain Alvida, like, you know, these were villains, but One Piece was really lighthearted in these arcs. Nothing too serious. There was an occasional, like, emotional moment, but overall, these arcs were kind of on the back burner. But when it got to Arlong, this is where One Piece truly showed what it was capable of. You got Nami being shady as fuck. You have no idea if she's a part of the crew or part of Arlong's crew or is trying to protect Cocoa Village. You have no idea what Nami's motives are. And then when you see her backstory, oh my god, by far, up until this point, one of the most tragic backstories in all of One Piece for any character, mind you. And then we have these tearful moments where Nami's just breaking down on the ground and stabbing herself in the shoulder saying, Arlong, 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 and Luffy just comes in, puts his hat on her head, his most treasured possession that he could not separate himself from since the beginning of One Piece, and he puts it on her head and he's like, yo, let me take care of this. I'm gonna go kick this fish dude's ass. And speaking of fish dude, Arlong was probably the most intimidating villain of all of One Piece up until this point. Like, his threat level was pretty high. He controlled an entire village. He had the strength of like 10,000 men or something. I don't know what his strength level was, but it was insane enough where he could pick up a building and take out chunks of it with his own mouth. And this was also the first instance we see Usopp develop more as a character, where he's like, yo, I'm tired of running from these guys. I'm tired of being the guy on the back burner in this crew. I'm not gonna run from this fight. I'm gonna beat the shit out of this kissy lip fishman. Like, there was just so much development with the Straw Hat crew in the Arlong Park arc, and it was the first arc that just genuinely took itself seriously. Mind you, the arc that came before it, which was the Sanji arc on the restaurant ship, that arc was pretty good. It took itself pretty seriously, but overall, Arlong Park just overshadows that one completely. It was the first time that we ever got a sense that this crew's bond is truly unbreakable, and they will be the best of friends until the end of this adventure in One Piece. And this theme screamed its praise in the battle between Luffy and Arlong. Luffy going ape shit in Nami's old map making room and beating the shit out of Arlong, breaking his teeth, snapping his nose. Like, there was just so much emotion. And that is why I cannot stress enough, if you are watching this video and you have yet to get into One Piece, I'm telling you, stick with it up until Arlong Park. And if you don't like it up until then feel free to drop it. There's no problem with it. But you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't get up to at least Arlong Park and make a decision from there. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the Alaasta Kingdom arc. Now, this was the arc that really showed the scope of what One Piece was getting into. Because up until this point, you know, Luffy and the crew, you know, they were saving, you know, island to island, helping out cities, towns, Drum Kingdom as well. Like, that's also a kingdom, but it's not really as big as Alabasta. But when we got to Alabasta, it really showed how much change Luffy can bring to an entire fucking dynasty or kingdom when he beats the shit out of the people that are like ruling over that era. Because in this arc we have Crocodile, the first Logia type user to be officially revealed in the world of One Piece. And up until this point, we never encountered people with this kind of devil fruit power. Luffy always fought individuals that, you know, could split their bodies in half, or can make wax out of their, you know, body and just shoot it out and make structures and whatnot. But this was the first time where me as a fan reading Alabasta, I was thinking like, how is Luffy gonna beat this guy? Nothing he has in his arsenal can touch him. And then came, you know, the whole water strategy, and then using his blood. But then if you watch the 4Kids fucking dub, it was his sweat. Like, it was such an interesting strategy from Oda's part to incorporate this new element into the world of One Piece that we've never seen before. And Crocodile was such a true threat because his whole organization was ruling over an entire kingdom. Not one of those little pussy ass kingdoms, you know, but a giant, massive kingdom. And not only that, but each Straw Hat crew member had a beautiful moment to shine in this giant arc, fighting each member of Baruch Works, or Baruch Works, however you want to pronounce it. But it was so interesting to see characters like Nami actually hold a combat situation in an arc in One Piece, because before then, Nami was always in the back room, on the back burner, not doing anything in these fights, and now she's like going in fucking climate baton and whipping up sandstorms and thunderstorms everywhere. It was such an interesting take on Nami's character. And then we have Sanji fighting Mr. Tuban Clay, one of the funniest characters in all of One Piece. And then we got Zoro versus Mr. One. I think he had an actual name, I can't remember entirely, but like Zoro learned how to cut fucking steel. He learned how to cut through fucking steel. Like, that was the most epic shit that I ever saw from Zoro in most of One Piece. So that was definitely amazing. And then just Luffy versus Crocodile in general, because it wasn't the typical One Piece formula where Luffy met the villain for the first time and, you know, kind of struggled, but eventually beat the shit out of him. No, Luffy lost, like, I believe it was twice. He lost the first time because he couldn't hit Crocodile. He lost the second time because I believe it was like he ran out of water, or Crocodile destroyed his water barrel. And at this point it was like, God, can Luffy even beat this guy? So it kept making you wonder, like, what is he going to do to defeat Crocodile? And then we also had the introduction of Robin and the Poneglyphs, and oh my God, there was just so much greatness in the Alabasta Kingdom arc. First time we ever see like, yo, Straw Hats are going big or going home, because Luffy just got that 100 million berry bounty on his head after defeating the first warlord or Shichibukai of the entire series. Just great shit in Alabasta all around. Coming into the number 3 spot, we got the Sabote or Shabandi Archipelago, however you want to pronounce that first word. But this arc is not as grand or as like amazing as some of the previous arcs in One Piece. For starters, it wasn't even that long. Probably half as long as any of the other arcs in One Piece as well. But what puts this arc in my personal number 3 spot is the emotion and build up to what was to come in the world of One Piece. Starting off, we get to see Rayleigh, one of the first members of Goldie Roger's crew back in the day. And I know some people will like to throw in, yeah, but Shanks and Buggy were also a part of their crew back when they were little kids. But this, at the same time, they were just cabin boys. You know, no one really cares about the cabin boys. They want to know about the lieutenants, the snipers, the first mates, and whatnot. And we got to see that with Rayleigh. So the hype train was already there as soon as he came into the picture. And then we get introduced to the supernovas of the series for the first time, seeing Eustace Kid, Trafalgar Law, Apu. Like, these were the captains of their own cruise ships that were seeking the same fame and glory that Luffy and his crew were looking for as well. and basically seeing just a reflection of Luffy's crew and all of these other pirate crews, it was such a relief to see that, yo, Luffy's got competition. He is lumped in with this new worst generation as labeled by the world government. And then we get Luffy going to the extreme, showing that he gives no fucks as to who he's messing with, punching a celestial dragon square in the face. And this is probably one of the few times that I will ever admit that the anime did it better than the manga, because holy shit, when Luffy's fist connected with this guy's face, I thought the man was dead. Just the art and the animation that went along with it, I just thought he was done. I thought he was kaput, dead, zip, nada, dead. And then finally, the creme de la creme of this arc, which makes it stand out amongst the rest of One Piece as a whole. This was the first time Luffy and his crew lost. Up until this point, Luffy and his crew were annihilating all the obstacles in their way, with Enies Lobby, Alabasta, Thriller Bark, Arlong Park. No matter who the opponent was, no matter who they came across, Luffy just annihilated them. But then came Bartholomew Kuma, and he ended that beatdown streak that the Straw Hats had to their name. And the emotion that was in this scene when Luffy saw each of his crew members just being zipped away like into nothingness. Like this, in his mind, he thought his crewmates were dying. He had no idea what was happening to him. And as each member just tried their best to defend each other against Kuma and his paw fruit abilities, it just wasn't enough. And seeing Luffy react to each crew member, it was emotional. It was truly sad to see this guy that we've been seeing throughout the entirety of One Piece just break down, scratching at his head, scratching at the ground, losing his mind, not knowing what happened to his best friends. Now we all know that nothing actually happened to them. Bartholomew was actually doing them a favor by sending them in separate ways and splitting up the crew. And looking back on it, it makes you see that if Luffy and his crew had not encountered Bartholomew Kuma, or even if Luffy never punched a celestial dragon that caused Kuma to actually come in and send them away, if it wasn't for those two things, Luffy and his crew would have entered the New World and they would have fucking died. Like, there's no question about it. They would have fucking died in the New World had Luffy not punched the Celestial Dragon in the face, and if Kuma never sent the crew on their separate ways. Again, the arc wasn't really that long, but man, did it have its moments with epicness, like Rayleigh versus Kizaru, a fucking Navy Admiral. That was freaking amazing to see, even though it didn't last too long as well. But as short as it was, Sabote Archipelago made its mark in One Piece history, bar none. Now, number 2 and number 1, I debated with for a very long time. I wasn't entirely sure who should be number 2 or number 1, and I just went back and forth with this, sometimes even discussing it with some of my friends, and I just couldn't come to a decision for the longest time. But I mean, one has to be better than the other, and in my personal opinion, my number 2 spot is Marineford. Now, before you come at me with your pitchforks and irons and saying, no, Marineford is the best arc in all of One Piece, what are you talking about? I'm not saying at all that Marineford is bad. I just think, in my personal opinion, I have an arc that is better than One Piece on my top 5 list. But let's actually get into Marineford. We got the fucking Whitebeard pirates going in with Luffy and all the prisoners he freed from Impel Down, for the first time attacking an enemy without his crewmates with him. He's alone on this one with all these prisoners and members of the Revolutionary Army backing him up going into the fray at Marineford, and just the grand scheme of that battle was just so amazing. We have all 7 CG Bukai in the area. We got Blackbeard, we got Whitebeard, we got the 3 fucking admirals, the 3 admirals of the Navy, the strongest characters, at least for now, what we know of, the strongest characters from the Marine side. And there was definitely a lot of emotion in this rescue arc. We get a lot more backstory in this arc between Luffy, Ace, and their never before mentioned brother Sabo, and just seeing these bonds that these characters have with each other, and discovering that Ace is the son of Goldie Roger, and just seeing Ace at the end of this arc perishing by the hands of that bastard Akainu. Like, if there was ever a reason to hate Akainu beforehand, because there were a few reasons before, you know, the guy was a bit of an asshole, but when he punched a fucking magma hole straight through Ace's back as he was trying to protect Luffy, the tears were streaming, man. Like, this arc was so emotional. And while some may not want to admit it, this was by far the height of popularity for One Piece in both Japan and as well as the rest of the world. Like, this was the equivalent of the Pain arc in Naruto. Like, it was just that big of a deal, and it cemented One Piece's, like, just popularity and overall standing in the anime and manga community. And finally, coming in at number 1, some of you may already know what I'm putting in number 1 spot, if Marineford is number 2, but my number 1 spot goes to the Enies Lobby / Water 7 arc. Now, some people like to split these 2 arcs into different categories. Some think that Enies Lobby is its own thing and Water 7 is its other half. But at the same time, they both deal with the same subject matter, the same villains, the same characters, and like, if you take one away from the other, you're not getting the whole story. So I like to lump these 2 together, and when I do, this is by far one of the best arcs, in my opinion. For the first time, we get an issue that we never even considered, at least I didn't consider up until this point, and that's the possibility of having to change ships, moving from the Go Merry or the Merry Go to another ship was just mind-blowing. I never even considered that that was a possibility, and neither did Usopp, because Usopp stuck to that shit because he wanted that Kaya tail, if you know what I'm saying. And seeing the crewmates debate over this and fight with each other on what they should do with the ship that they've grown to love and bond with up until this point, because the Going Merry was going strong for a good 10 years in One Piece's first serialization. And with this culminating in a fight between Usopp and Luffy, I mean, this was just a battle of personalities, a battle between friends, and it was a truly agonizing fight to see, because we knew from the beginning Usopp wasn't going to be able to beat Luffy. And just seeing him struggle throughout this whole ordeal, and Luffy just trying to hold back against his friend, it was truly sad fight to watch. But then we progressed to the Enies Lobby portion of this arc, and oh my god, just every fight in this arc was phenomenal. And seeing Robin's past for the very first time and wishing on herself to die, and just like not even caring about her own life, this backstory rivals that of Nami's, if not even better than Nami's, because this whole time up until this point, she's wanted to die. She may have not expressed it, but she wanted to die. She did not care about her life, and it was truly sad seeing her home island and best friend just being bombarded by Navy ships. But then when you get Luffy and his crewmates all lining up on that fucking wall right at the Enies Lobby headquarters, and he's telling Robin like, yo, I want you to say it. I want you to say I want to live. And then Robin just breaks down in tears, crying, just saying that she wants to live. Oh my god. I was breaking down in tears too when I saw that. Just thinking about that scene all the way back when, it still gives me chills. Like, that was by far a pivotal moment in One Piece. And then finally the grand finale between Luffy versus Lucci, and just seeing Gear 2 for the first time and Gear 3, like, these were new powers that none of us saw coming, because up until this point I was thinking, like, how is Luffy gonna keep making up these new Gomu Gomu no moves? Like, he's done battle axe, he's done rifle, he's done pistol. Like, there's just so many variations of stretching your arm and feet that you can do. But when Luffy introduced Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd, the possibilities just multiplied that quick, showing that Oda has plenty more skills and ideas to incorporate in One Piece's future. And just overall, great arc of One Piece. My personal favorite in all of One Piece. But let me know what you all think about my top 5. Is it the same as your top 5 One Piece list, or is there slight variation in yours? What is your favorite top One Piece arc? Let me know in the comments below. But there you go, folks. That is my top 5 One Piece arcs 2016 edition. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to discuss anything about my personal top 5 or even any of the arcs in One Piece, comment down below. I want to discuss this with you guys because it's always a blast. But if you enjoyed this video, leave me a thumbs up down below. It helps a lot more than you know, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click this box right here to stay up to date with all my future videos and content. And I will love you forever. I'm Ajax the Mister, and as always, folks, thanks for watching.